Hi, I'm Ashley, and this is the corner of the internet where I talk about my knitting and spinning. So it is Sunday today, and me and Angel went to a farmer's market that happens every Sunday not too far from where we live. It is such a big farmer's market, and it's always so full of people, and today was a beautiful day for it because it's finally cooled down a little bit, so the sun wasn't so unforgiving. We actually brought little Yaku along with us. We just carried him because he is quite leash aggressive and there were quite a bit of dogs, but he did so well in Angel's arms the whole time. I ended up coming home with some rosemary garlic bread that was freshly made by a small local owner of a bakery, as well as some free-range natural eggs that was also owned by a small local, chicken farm. We also got to enjoy some coffee there and had some samples of some of the food or the products there. It was such a nice time. Since I finished the anais tea, I am itching to cast something new on. And unlike the fall plans video that I posted, I am going to make a fingering weight all over lace sweater called the Mariela sweater. I have 3 skeins of this absolutely gorgeous yarn from Hillesvåg. This is the base called Vilke, which is a fingering weight wool. All of this is in Norwegian, because Hillesvåg I know is a Norwegian brand. And so it says it's 100% Norsk ull, which means Norse wool, I'm assuming. And this is in the color Okerbrun, which I'm guessing is ochre brown. This color is everything, and I think it's going to be so beautiful in this sweater. I figured since it is an all over lace sweater, it's going to look so nice and be comfortable for the fall. Hopefully I can get it done before the fall is over, but of course I can wear it for winter as well. This is the first time that I'm making an all over lace pattern of anything, really. I don't knit in lace very often, so this might be a little bit of a challenge. If anything, it will be definitely different, so I'm really excited to cast this on. So that's what I'm gonna do today, is cast on this sweater to kind of kick off for fall. I've also been spinning on my spinning wheel this Polworth wool that I got from Myrtle and Yarn, or Myrtle Yarns. This is a beautiful hand-dyed braid. I got 2 of them from this company that's from Canada, and it's in this beautiful caramely tonal colorway. And I have been able to spin it quite thinly, so I'm really excited to see how the yarn is going to turn out when I apply it together. I've been quite consistent, and although holding the wool in person, it doesn't show like it has a lot of color variation, as you can see on the bobbin, there is quite a bit of color shifting in this spin. So I'm really excited on how it's going to turn out. I did get 2 100 gram worth braids of this wool, and so we'll see how much yardage I get out of it. And once I figure that out, I'll see what to make out of it. It'll probably be a contrast color for a colorwork sweater, or maybe I could squeeze out a Sophie hood with it. So I think that'd be really nice too. But I'm gonna go ahead and grab some coffee. It actually warmed up quite a bit today, and so I'm gonna run over, get an iced latte, and get started on caking up my Hillesvåg yarn and swatching on casting on my Mariela sweater. So I had finished swatching and blocking my gauge swatch for the Marielle blouse. And when I went to measure it when it was dry, I realized that my gauge was completely off and way too small. And then when I looked at the pattern, I realized that I had used the wrong needle. So I ended up gauge swatching with the correct needle size. I just used the same swatch and just ripped it back and knitted it with a shorter pattern repeat so that I could use as much of the yarn that I swatched with. And this is how it turned out. And I was able to match gauge. So I'm good to go to cast on for my Marielle blouse. As I've said before, I don't bother to measure the row count. I pretty much only swatch for the stitch count. Since I did block this gauge swatch, it did not grow lengthwise, so I'm going to assume that I can knit to the length that I want and it shouldn't change too much. I am knitting this with some of the Hillesvåg fingering weight yarn, and it is beautiful. I'm really enjoying this yarn so far. I think it's going to create a really nice fabric and a nice garment, and I can't wait to have that garment in my wardrobe soon, especially in this gorgeous ochre color. I have been currently spinning a combed top from Myrtle Yarns, which is a Canadian store that does hand dyeing. I am doing a fractal spin with this braid. I did get 2 braids, and so I'm working on the first one. So with the fractal spin, I split the top in half, and I took one of those halves and split those into smaller halves. But I was able to finish the first and the single spin of that first split half, and this is what it looks like. It's this super beautiful, more muted yellowy ochre color. I've been obsessed with this color recently, but yeah, it's this gorgeous yellowy golden color, and there is some variation and variegation to the spin, and so I'm really excited to see how it's going to turn out when I apply everything together. Since I am doing a fractal, those variegations should pop more and become more mixed. So I'm excited to see how that turns out. But this is my first bobbin, so I'm going to start my second bobbin and eventually ply them together. I haven't been able to spin as much as I'd like. Hopefully I can add some more spinning into my day. I've just been kind of crazy with work recently. I am working night shifts, and so that pretty much messes up my free time and my schedule because I tend to want to rest or sleep during that time. But hopefully that schedule will be changing here soon, and I'll be at a better kind of regimen so that I can do my crafting more effectively and when I'm more refreshed. So I'm going to do some spinning at some point today, as well as cast on my Marielle blouse. And I am going to go to Tea Cafe, my favorite cafe, which is owned by my good friend. And I'm going to go with my mom. We're just going to spend some time together, drink some coffee, maybe have some of their baked goods, and just enjoy the morning there. Hey, so it's a few days later, and I was actually able to cast on and pretty much finish the back panel for the Marielle blouse, and here it is. So this is creating quite a light fabric. This pattern does request a fingering weight along with a mohair or a fuzzy yarn, yet still knitting for a fingering weight. So I am knitting this with the recommended needle size, which is a US 6, but I am just knitting with the Hillesvåg Filje yarn, which is a fingering weight yarn in this beautiful ochre color, and I'm just holding it single and just knitting this. It is creating a more open and lighter fabric, but I actually really like that. I am envisioning this to be, you know, a lighter blouse / sweater that I can throw on over a shirt, and just to be kind of like a lighter extra layer for the fall. And it's knitting up quite quickly, and the lace pattern is quite easy to memorize and follow. It did take me a couple of times to, like, I had to restart the pattern a few times in order to really understand the lace repeat, but I feel like I'm at a good point now where I'm understanding it. So I'm gonna finish up the back panel before I pick up for the left and right shoulders. So this is going to be a drop shoulder construction garment, and then eventually I will be knitting this in the round. So you are knitting the lace pattern flat for a while before you join in the round, and then you're going to be knitting the lace pattern in the round. But today is Sunday and it is a day off for me, so I am just wanting to take it easy this afternoon, kind of romanticize my evening. So I'm gonna just maybe make myself coffee or a tea, hang out on the couch, probably watch some YouTube and just knit and maybe do some spinning before the end of the day. I have been desperately wanting to knit with a chocolatey brown yarn, and as I shown, I think a couple of videos ago, I was able to get 8 balls of this Cardiff cashmere yarn, which is extremely luxurious for a really good price, and I did get quite a bit of it. And I'm thinking that I'm going to make a Sophie hood out of this yarn. With the amount of Cardiff cashmere that I do have, I should be able to knit the largest size. I did knit a Sophie hood before with an alpaca yarn that I was able to get from a alpaca farm here in Conifer, Colorado, not too far from Denver, but I feel like I did knit it a little bit too small. It doesn't quite hug my face, and so I figured that this would be really nice as a Sophie hood. I was planning on making the Maggie vest or the Maggie cardigan with this yarn because I have enough for it for that short-sleeved cardigan, but I feel like creating an accessory is just going to be nicer and something that I feel like I would treat better and that would be able to hold together better and not be worn in situations where it'll be like rubbed on too much, you know, things like that. I feel like it as a hood or some kind of a scarf would be really nice. So I'm thinking about casting this on tonight as well, just because, like I said, I've just been like really craving rich browns recently, and this is such a rich brown. It's just a deep, almost dark chocolate brown. It's just gorgeous. So yeah, I'm thinking about doing that, and I think that would be a quick and fun knit. We'll see if I stick with the Sophie hood. I'm kind of feeling you know, if possible, maybe I can throw in some kind of design into it, just because the garter stitch I think is fine for the ease of it, but it'd be nice to kind of throw in a nice little design in some kind of, you know, into this type of accessory. So we shall see. So this is what I have for you guys in this week's video. Thanks so much for coming along as I cast on a couple of new whips. I wasn't able to get any spinning done actually. I finished that first bobbin and just haven't gotten around to starting the next bobbin of my Myrtle yarn spin. But I am hoping to get that started and finished hopefully soon so that I can go ahead and ply it and have some new yarn. The Mariela blouse is coming along so nicely. I have memorized the pattern, and so it should be easy going from here on out. I am at the point where I'm going to pick up for the front left and right panel. And I am so enjoying knitting with the Cardiff Cashmere Classic as I am making the Sophie hood by Petite Knit. I did have to rip back that project a couple of times because I realized that my rate of increase was incorrect. I had to reread the pattern a couple of times to understand which size I was knitting and what increases were required of that. So I got it down now, got a method with little light bulb stitches to remind me how many rows I need to knit before I decrease, and so that has been working for me. I am here wearing my Bluebird sweater by Ronya Rocaletto. I knitted this with 2 different colors of the Tuku Wool DK. The main color is a beautiful navy blue, and the golden color the pairing is just so beautiful, and I am so excited that I am able to wear it today because it is just such a beautiful rainy, gloomy day. So I'm going to go to my favorite coffee shop, get one of their new fall drinks, and do some knitting there at the coffee shop on my Sophie hood, and enjoy this beautiful weather that I can finally start wearing my sweaters for. So make sure to get some crafting in, and I'll see you guys on the next one.